Jai Gurudev, today we have an expert from the Art of Living family with us who will share deep insights from His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji's wisdom on how to handle politics in our personal and professional lives. Welcome, let's dive straight into the wisdom shared by Gurudev, which was delivered in Bad Antofagasta, Germany. The first question raised was about feeling troubled by politics while being involved in leadership and community service projects. Could you help us unpack Gurudev's response? Absolutely. The first thing Gurudev emphasizes is that wherever there are people, politics is inevitable. The simple yet profound statement sets the tone for how we should view politics. Gurudev is essentially telling us not to shy away from it, not to be afraid. Often we think of politics as something negative, something we need to avoid, but Gurudev encourages us to stand strong and be rock solid. So it's about changing how we perceive the situation. Exactly, Gurudev mentions that when we resist politics, we inadvertently become consumed by it. By resisting or fearing it, our own mindset becomes political and we start seeing everything through that lens. It's like feeding the fire. The more we resist or fear it, the more we invite it into our lives. However, when we stop minding it, we rise above it. Politics won't bother us if we choose not to give it that power. That's a powerful shift in mindset. Gurudev also asks a question in the knowledge sheet. What is politics? How would you explain his response? In this context, politics isn't just the typical power play we associate with politicians. Gurudev explains that politics is simply the clash of opinions and different mindsets. People will praise you one day and criticize you the next. That's just human nature. Gurudev advises us to accept this as part of life. The moment we expect everyone to be perfect, we set ourselves up for disappointment. He says people's actions, whether we call it politics or not, don't have to be dirty. They just reflect different opinions and behaviors. He also talks about keeping ourselves on a higher pedestal, smiling and laughing through it. Could you elaborate on that? Yes, this is another profound point. Gurudev advises us to rise above the situation, don't get dragged down by the noise of politics. He speaks about maintaining a joyful, accepting attitude. Imagine yourself as a river and politics is the mud, you are the water. No matter how much mud there is, you have the power to wash it away. Water is never scared of mud. This metaphor reminds us of our own purity and strength as water flows and cleanses. We too can flow through life's challenges without being tainted by negativity. That's such a liberating perspective. Gurudev also shared a beautiful Kannada poem about living in the forest, by the sea, or in a marketplace, yet being afraid of the natural elements. How does this tie into dealing with politics? Yes, the poem is a metaphor for life. If you live in a forest, you can't fear animals. If you live by the sea, you can't be afraid of waves. If you live in a marketplace, noise is part of the experience. Similarly, if you live on this planet, politics will be around you. It is inevitable. Gurudev is telling us that complaining about politics is like complaining about rain during monsoon. It is part of the environment we live in. Instead of resisting or fighting it, we should accept it and rise above it. What a beautiful way to see life's challenges. Gurudev also references Lord Krishna, Jesus, and Buddha. How does this historical perspective help us today? Gurudev is reminding us that even during the times of enlightened kings like Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, politics existed. These great masters didn't shy away from politics or complain about it. Instead, they lived through it with grace and equanimity. This historical context shows us that politics is nothing new. It has been part of human dynamics of millennia. So, if these enlightened beings could navigate through political environments with poise and wisdom, so can we. So, in essence, Gurudev is teaching us not to see politics as a negative force, but rather as something that we can handle with the right mindset. Exactly, Gurudev is shifting our perception of politics from something that is dirty or harmful to something that is just part of life. The key is in how we respond to it. If we resist it, we get entangled in it. But if we maintain our inner peace, faith, and awareness, politics will not disturb us. It is about keeping our mind on the higher, infinite truth. That's enlightenment. Such profound wisdom. Thank you for this enlightening conversation. Is there anything else you would like to share as we conclude? I would just like to reiterate Gurudev's core message. Stay centered, maintain your joy, and don't let politics bother you. Like mud, like water over mud, we have the ability to flow through life's challenges without being dragged down. With this understanding, we can rise above politics. and live with grace, strength, and confidence. Thank you for sharing these insights. It's been a truly transformative discussion. Jai Gurudev, and thank you for the profound insights so far. Let's continue by diving deeper into some of the points Gurudev made that we have not fully explored yet. One crucial point was about faith and the trusting that the best will happen. Could you elaborate on the role of faith in handling politics? Yes, that's an essential point. Gurudev emphasizes the importance of having faith, saying, have faith that only the best will happen to you, and you will be able to do only the best. This is not just about faith in external circumstances, but more importantly, faith in oneself and the divine plan. When we trust that everything that happens has a higher purpose and that we are equipped to handle it, we naturally become less affected by politics or negativity around us. This faith acts as our inner anchor, allowing us to remain steady regardless of external turmoil. That makes sense. So it is about cultivating a belief that in the end things will align in our favor. Exactly. Gurudev is encouraging us to trust the process. He's saying that we don't need to micromanage or overthink every political situation. Instead, by keeping a broader perspective and trusting that everything will work out for our highest good, we can navigate through the murky waters of politics without losing our peace. It is about being proactive in our actions but detached from the outcomes. Gurudev also talks about paranoia. He says, when you resist politics, you get deeply into politics. Your perception becomes political and you will get paranoid about it. How do you see paranoia playing a role in our experience of politics? That's a very insightful observation by Gurudev. Paranoia comes from over identifying with political drama. When we start resisting politics, we inadvertently become obsessed with it. Our entire focus shifts to watching every move and action around us, trying to interpret motives and anticipate challenges. Gurudev's point is that this paranoia is self centered. By resisting, we become part of the problem. The solution is to be non resistant, to allow politics to happen without letting it consume us. When we do that, it loses its grip over us. Gurudev also touches on expectations when he says, our trouble is that we expect everyone to be Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect. Could you explain why expectations play such a significant role in how we experience politics? Yes, expectations are a major source of our discomfort in any situation, especially in politics. Gurudev is saying that we often hold an unrealistic expectation that people around us should behave perfectly in ways that align with our standards of fairness and integrity. But the reality is that human behavior is complex and people act from their own limited perspectives, interests, and needs. Politics arises when people's different opinions, interests, and egos clash. If we expect perfection, we are setting ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. When we lower our expectations or even let go of them entirely, we become less affected by the actions of others. That's a powerful shift. Instead of expecting perfection, we embrace the imperfection of human nature. Gurudev also says, let politics be there, so what? How do we cultivate such a carefree attitude? Cultivating that attitude requires a deep sense of inner security. Gurudev is encouraging us to develop the confidence that we can move through politics without letting it define us or affect our sense of self. He advises us to laugh, smile, and stay accommodating in the face of politics. It is about maintaining a light-hearted approach. The moment we take things too seriously, we start becoming part of the problem. If we can learn to detach and say, so what, let politics be there, we retain our inner strength and peace. This detachment doesn't mean inaction. It means engaging with the world without letting it disturb our equilibrium. And this is where Gurudev's metaphor about water and mud comes in, right? Yes, absolutely. Gurudev says politics is mud and I am water. I will run over it. This metaphor is both beautiful and instructive. Water, as you know, flows naturally over and around obstacles without getting absorbed by them. Mud cannot taint water unless water becomes stagnant. Similarly, Gurudev is urging us to remain fluid, adaptable, and ever evolving. No matter how much mud politics we encounter, we can stay pure and keep moving forward without letting the dirt of politics stick to us. That's such a vivid and powerful image. Lastly, let's reflect on the quote from the Kannada poem Gurudev shared. If someone builds a home in the forest and is afraid of animals, what can I tell them? If someone has built a home on the seashore and is scared of the waves, what can I tell them? And if someone has built a home in the middle of a marketplace and is complaining about the noise, what can I tell them? How does this analogy apply to our daily lives? This analogy beautifully illustrates the inevitability of challenges in life, whether it is animals in the forest, waves by the sea, or noise in the marketplace. Each environment has its inherent challenges. Similarly, life on earth comes with its own set of difficulties, each of which is politics. Gurudev is saying that it is unrealistic to expect a life free from these natural phenomena. Just as you would have built a house on the shore and then complain about waves, you should not live in the world and complain about politics. It is simply part of the human experience. The key is not to complain but to learn how to live joyfully amidst it. So the message is clear: politics, like waves or animals in a forest, is an inevitable part of life. The question is how we choose to deal with it. Exactly, the essence of Gurudev's wisdom is that we cannot avoid politics, but we can choose how we respond. By adopting a mindset of acceptance, faith, and detachment, and by maintaining a joyful attitude, we can navigate politics without losing our peace of mind. This wisdom is not just about surviving politics, but thriving despite it. What a powerful conclusion. Thank you so much for breaking down this profound knowledge by His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji. It has been incredibly enlightening. Thank you. It was a pleasure to share this timeless wisdom. Remember, as Gurudev says, water is never scared of mud. So let's continue flowing gracefully through life, no matter the challenges we face. Thank you for the enlightening discussion. As we continue, let's revisit some points from Gurudev's original wisdom sheet that we have not fully addressed yet. He mentioned, when you are uptight, you are not aware of how